Hey guys, it's Bishopheals from the ECF forums. How you guys doing today? I'm here today because I had a few mails that came in and asking me in regards to the Highlander coil setup. Apparently, I looked at my video and I noticed that it could be a little bit confusing, so I'm just gonna revise it with this video to make it a little bit simpler, explaining it and doing it from beginning to end. My goal is to have this completed done within 10-15 minutes, so I'm gonna take you from beginning to end. Andre asked me, how to make it. He's having issues that every time he's mounting it on the base, it breaks. Dennis was also inquiring about it. I have several people, so for the ones that already know how to do this, you don't have to watch this video. This is more for novice that are trying to get it done, and they're just having a few minor technicalities that may have been overlooked. So I'm going to take you under my wing from beginning to end, and hopefully this will be a crash course. Okay, so welcome to 101 Highlander building coil style, live from Bishop. Okay, so we're gonna just do the twisting. These are single coils, so I'm pretty sure you guys know how to make single coils, but being that we're gonna ohm them out, you're gonna need a multimeter, which you can see mine is the orange right next to it. So what I'm doing is, you see that? I'm just twisting the wire together. Let me just finish it up so I can show you the finished product. Just that a bit for you. There we go. So when you try to yank it, see, it won't even come out. See that? It's so tight. All right, that's number one. You want to do this. You want to yank it. You want to pull it. Okay, you want to make sure it doesn't separate. Now, when you do that, and there's the tail. So what you're gonna? Ooh, I just stuck myself with the tail. Ooh, mwah, mama. Okay, so this is what you do. Okay, straighten out the tail. Don't prick yourself. All right. So now what you do is you take the non-resistance wire, which is this one right here, and what I'm gonna do is, let me just autofocus this a little. Okay, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is stretch it. See, it doesn't break. So now I'm gonna loop it. I'm gonna loop it around 3 times. All right, as closest as possible to the junction point. Okay, as close as possible. 3 loops. That's it. So here I go. That's 1. That's 2, and that's 3. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna yank it. Okay, with the plier. Why? It gives it good. Gives it a good nudge on the knot, so it's sturdy. See, that's what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut it, and what I'm going to use to cut it with is a nail clipper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see from where the tail begins. There we go. Now, as you can see that? See the junction point? Very, very tiny, very, very small. That's important, and it won't break off. Okay, that's important. All right, now what you need to do is separate it from the non-resistance wire. So I'm going to give it some slack. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bust out the multimeter. Yes, I said multimeter. So, what we're going to do is, oh, this is my coffee. Don't mind the coffee. Okay. Woo! I needed the energy. So we'll turn this bad boy on. Let's see. Alright, so you guys can... Now, see, this is why I brought the coffee. It works, right? Alright, so let me put on ohms. There we go, it's on ohms. Okay? Now, what I'm going to measure is a total of... If your thing is like this, you can use that, or I like to use my my gator clips. It's more accurate. So let me screw this on. So putting it on. Okay. Now it's on. Alright, so this is how you do it. Now, what you want to do is you take your negative, okay, which is the one which is all the way far to the right where you just finished cutting, okay. You're going to attach it by the junction point. You heard that? You know what I said? By the junction point, okay. Now, as you can see, the wire that's coming out from here goes directly to the resistance, okay? Now, I want to measure it at 1.3 ohms because I want 0.7 ohms dual coil, okay? So, we're going to go very simple. Let's just move it nice and easy. Nice and easy. Look at that. What does the meter say? Oh, let me move this out of the way. Let me change the autofocus. There we go. See that? It says 2.1 ohms. Don't want that. That's too much. So what do? I reduce the length of the resistance wire. Look at that. 1.5 ohms. Alright, we're getting close. We're getting close. Now, if I leave it at 1.5 ohms, it's going to give me about 0.9 ohms. Now this is 1.4. I want to reduce it. There we go. There's my 1.3. Now what I do is on the side of, you see where it actually begins on my resistance wire, where the gator clip is. This side. This is how I'm going to bend it. See what I'm doing? I'm bending it gently. You see the ohms is still at 1.3. So where it's bent right now, that's the marker. That didn't come out too good. Let me do it again. 1.9, let me reduce it. 1.6, let me reduce it. 1.2, give it a little slack. 1.3. Now, see what I'm doing? I'll let go of the negative. Okay? You see, it's still pinched. So what I'm going to do is, you see how I'm marking it? I just press down on it. That's it. Let go. And there's the bending point. Yeah, I'll autofocus it again. See the bend point? That's my contact point. That's where I got to put the non-resistance wire and twirl it up. That's it. That's how I keep it at the ohms. So now that it's already bent there, what I do is I'm going to cut maybe about here. Okay, just to give myself some room. Okay. See? Now I'm left with this. See that? See that? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is remove my resistance wire, and I'll take the non-resistance wire. This is what I'm going to do. Put it right on top, like so. Okay. Make sure it's right at the corner point. Now I move the resistance wire, and I give it a twist. And I give it another twist. And let's twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, baby, now. Gigi's gonna rock. There we go. So now I'm using the pliers because I want a nice, solid, tight, I repeat, tight, build here. So as you can see, look, I'm putting force and it does not come off. It's attached. It's like married till death do us part. So now what I do is I hold it from this angle, okay, and with the non-resistance wire, I'm gonna flip it up 90 degrees all the way up this way. See? Now it's like that. See that? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop it 3 times like I did before on the other one. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. Now what I do is I yank it with my hand, and then I use the plier to yank it. Apply some additional pressure. Look at that. Believe me, it ain't coming off. There we go. I cut it from here. Now I'm going to cut it from the tail itself too. Okay. So, there we go. It's cut. Let's extend it. Look at that. It's the same ohms on both. So that's the first one. I'm going to do another one the same way, and then we'll be right back, okay? Okay, so we completed the 2 coils. Okay, I'm just going to put them on the side. Alright, now we're going to bust out the wick. Now, this is what I'm going to do. Off the bat, this is what you're going to do. See about this size that I have here? See that? We're going to cut it. Okay, I use this because that way it doesn't break the strands that quickly. See? Look at that. It was nice and even. Now, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do another one. Yep. Now, this one's the one that's going to go in the sandwich, in the middle of the ceramic. There we go. That's it. You're done. Now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take this one, and you're going to distrand it. Yeah, I said distrand. So, the way you do that is, put your finger right on top, and look at that. I just distranded the top a little. See that? Okay, so I'm going to count 4 strands. That's what you need for each of these 2 single coils. Alright, 4 strands. So, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out 3 strands. And here we go. There's my 3 strands. 1 here. Here's the other 3 right here. Okay. So I'm going to fix it up a little. And I'm going to coil it. Okay. You know how to single coil, I assume. And it's not hard. So we're going to single coil that. When I'm done, I'll show it to you. Okay. Be right back. Okay. So we're back. As you can see, this is my first single coil. Here's the other. Okay? Now, this is what we're going to do. Okay? This is how it's going to be a whole lot easier. Okay? So, we're going to get a nail clipper. We're going to cut the ends off of the wick. Yup, we're going to cut them. Okay? Let's cut them now. Very neatly. Just leave a little bit of room. Let's see if you can see that. Let me autofocus so that you guys can see this. See that? See the distance? So that way let me cut a little bit more. There's a little loose end here. So we're going to leave it like a bow tie. See that? Okay. We'll do it again, the same thing. Do the same thing on this end. Okay? And we're going to do it gently. Just going to leave it just a little bit of space, a little bit of room. Okay. See? Look how neat that looks. See that? Okay. Not bad. Now, we're going to do the same thing on the other one. Okay? So that's about how much distance you would want. Okay, on each end. That's about it. Okay? Now that's a clean cut. If you use the scissors, it may get a little messy. So that's why I said nail clipper. So that's one. I'm going to do the same on this one. Okay? Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So here's my Odie. Okay? It's clean. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. Okay? And we're going to put it on top. Normal. Now, as I put it right in top, I just try to, line up the wires on the channels. But as you can see, that's how it looks. Let me focus. There we go. Okay. And you can see there's plenty of room. Now what we're going to do is, being that it's, as you can see, 4 loops, and when you cut it, look, it just falls right flush. Okay? Now you take this wick, untouched, de-stranded, and put it right on top. Like so. That's it. When you do that, now you take the other one. So, as you can see, we're going to work on the one with the ceramic side, okay, first. It's easier, okay? At least to me it is, anyway. So, we're going to stretch out the legs a little, like so, okay? And we're just going to gently put this right on top. Look how easy. That's it. Now with your finger, this finger, you're holding it down. Now you're going to line up the wire. Okay? Line it up. Okay. They're both lined up. Let's straighten out the top wick a little. Make sure it's right on top of the other wick. That's all. Just to line it up. It doesn't have to be in the ceramic cup just yet. You're just lining it up. That's it. Lining it up. Don't go too crazy because you don't want to wear out the threads of the wick. Okay? So we're going to take these 2 wires gently. I say gently. I apply pressure on the top over here. Okay, on the corner. So as I apply pressure, the wick goes down a little. Okay, that's what I want. Because I'm going to work on this side now. So now I bend it a little, tilt it. There we go. So I'm holding it with my 2 fingers, and here's my 2 positive wires. Okay, now I'm going to wrap it around the center post. Okay, now when I wrap it around the center post, I want to leave a little bit of slack. So when we tight up the nut and we add it to the assembly base, it doesn't pull or yank too much of this wire because it may break. If it breaks, you're not going to get a connection, you're not going to get any power, or if one of the coils didn't break and the other one is, you're only going to get just the 1.2 ohms or the 1.3 ohms showing on the multimeter when we test it out. So that's a good way of troubleshooting. If you don't see your dual coil working, it's because a wire is not connecting or it broke. It may have gotten severed over here. So see, as I'm tightening it, you see how the wires are already snugged? Let me see if I can show you that. There we go. That's the best it'll do. But see, you see these 2 wires? They're a little bit snugged. A little. Then you're preparing yourself or cushioning yourself so it doesn't snap when it gets tightened. See? See how the wires gets pulled as you tighten up the bolt, as the nut, I should say. Now, believe it or not, this will turn when you put it in the base. So you want to make sure you have enough slack. So as I bring it up a little, there we go, see? I gave it enough slack. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it up slowly. There we go. Now, super tight. Okay. Down the wick. And see, it falls flush. Nice and flush. Okay? Now, we have to work on the negative side. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. Bring down the middle wick. This one up top. Let's push it down a little. Okay. Now I'm going to work on the negative side. Now, being that I have some excess wire from the positive side coming out on this end, let's cut that so that there's no shorts. There we go. There we go. It's clean. Now with the negatives, you can twist them. The way I do that is I use this middle finger to hold the two, and I start twisting like so. I start twisting. Now this made my life so much easier, I tell you. I take my tweezers and we're going to bend it. See that? It's bent it up. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it again. See that? Okay, so there is 2 bends. Okay? Now, I'll stick it in the middle. Make sure it's inside the channel. See, it's inside the channel. Okay. Now I'm going to bring down the wick slowly. Make sure those wires are in the channel as you bring lower down the wick. As you do that, make sure that the other side is also applied with pressure and it's in. So now you have to position it, make sure it's going in. Get some blood flowing in your palm over here. Okay. Now what I do is I like to apply a little Vaseline here on this O-ring. Now what that will do is, if you don't have Vaseline, you want to use like vegetable grease, by all means. I personally just use Vaseline. Doesn't kill me, doesn't do any harm to me. But if you're against that, then don't do it. Okay. So I'm going to apply just a little bit. Put it right in here. This will help that the nut does not turn. Okay. So that's in there. Now we're going to take the this is GTS base. Okay. I'm going to put it in. You're going to have to test the ohms. Before we go any further, putting in juice, putting in anything else, we need to test the ohms. Make sure everything is okay and kosher. Okay. 0.7 ohms. Okay. So now we can finish assembling this. Okay, so now we can finish assembling this. Be right back. Okay, so now it's mounted, it's on. So I already took you guys step by step, and you may need just a little bit of practice, and that's about it. But believe me, I wouldn't be wasting your time if it was something, not that grand. It's like the difference between night and day. Big, huge performance difference, vaping difference. It's beautiful. It's delicious. Now you're going to get to see it in action. What else can I say? I do this on Penelope's. It works just great. But Andre, you did ask me the question, and to show you how to do this in a little bit of a simpler method. Dennis was also asking me about the same in regards. But I did look at my video, and like I said earlier when I started this is just for the folks that were having a little bit more, they need a little bit more insight on how to get this accomplished. They were having a little bit of trouble. So for the advanced users, you guys didn't even need to see the video. But if you did, thank you anyway. Okay? But if you, by all means, if you still have any questions or you're still having trouble, I don't mind, having a one-to-one or a group in Skype or Uvu, and I can do it with you. Or I can overlook and see how you're doing it. Maybe it's just something minor that, is not working out. Now, however, when I do this, okay, as you saw, I do check the ohms, okay? I check the ohms as I make the coil, and I check the ohms once it's on here. Okay, because you want to make sure that the dual coil is working. Okay, because if it's not working, it's one or two reasons. Either the wire for the positive post, the center post where it gets nut screwed on, may have broken off. Okay, by you screwing it in a little too tight. That's one possibility. That's why I leave a little bit of a snug. Or two, the negative resistance wire, on the channel itself may not get in good contact. Usually what I do is, if that's the case, I just take, I clip another piece of wick like this, and I slam it against the channel. And then I use, and I circle the ceramic assembly ring, I just put it on right over it, and it tightens it. So it makes sure that that negative wire, the negative non-resistance wire is right up against that channel. Okay, now those are the only two reasons that the dual coil won't work. That's it. So it's either that it broke by the positive side, which it can happen. Okay, it has happened to me sometimes, several times. If I'm tightening it too much and I'm just rushing into it, it has happened. Okay, it's it happens. And as far as the negative, well, sometimes that happens too. Which, if that happens, that's the easiest of the two. Okay, but other than that, it's gonna work. Okay, but you want to still check the ohms. Okay, so you want to make sure you fall where you should be. Okay, so if you're doing 1.3 ohms on the single coils, so you should be getting at 0.7 ohms. Okay, if you see that's over 1.0 ohms and you did like 1.3, 1.4, and it's showing up registering at 1.5 or something, 1.4. It's only one coil is only working, so the other one's not working because of there's no connection either on the negative side or it broke on the positive side. If it broke on the positive side, you don't have to redo a whole new coil. You know what you do? Because being that it broke, you may have like about a half an inch. So I twisty that with the single positive that's going around the nut, and it works. So you can do that too. Okay, so if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to put them down. I'm more than happy to help anybody out. I love to vape, and I love to vape with people around me so that enjoy the vape. So happy vaping, guys, and enjoy your weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.